problem we face, and thank you very much for your patience. So welcome to our webinar series under the theme of Smart Solution and IoT, Powering the Future of Business, sponsored by IE University and supported by Thai IoT Association. My name is Wing, and I'm the organizer team of Digitech ASEAN Thailand. I'm pleased to be your MC today. Just a few housekeeping rules for us to note. For those who are in Zoom webinar, we will turn off your camera and mute your microphone. If you have some question for our topic or speaker in mind, please type your question under the Q&A box on your control panel. Our speaker will answer to your question during the Q&A session at the end or as soon as possible. And for those who are watching live from Facebook, you can also comment in the comment box, which we will gather if there is any question and share with our speaker as well. In the past, the Internet of Things or IoT may seem like it's something so far for the future. But in fact, many organizations are already implementing this technology and seeing early benefits. There is no doubt that IoT is changing how we work and do business. It has become the core foundation for digital transformation for many organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, I would like to guide you through to the agenda of today. We will kickstart our session on IoT Challenges, the Future of Now by Professor Ramses Gallego, Professor for Cybersecurity at IE University. Our second topic is How to Sharpen Your Business with IoT by Mr. Nitik Mikmok, President of Thai IoT Association. Let's kick off the next session by Professor Ramses and IE University. And just to share a little more about IE University and its operation in the region, IE University has over 30 regional offices to better support their candidate, alumni, and corporate partners from around the world. And in the APAC region, for instance, IE University have offices in Mumbai, Beijing, Shanghai, Seoul, Tokyo, Jakarta, as well as Singapore, bringing the IE experience closer to you. And with today's IE experience, we have with us Professor Ramses, currently dialing in from Barcelona. Professor Ramses is a super passionate professor for the cybersecurity at IE University in Madrid. He received his education in business administration and law and carried with him over 22 years of deep expertise in the field of risk management and governance. He is currently the Chief Technology Officer for CyberX. He is a great world traveler, an internationally recognized public speaker who has been to nearly every corner of the world. He even had the US flag flew in his honor for contributing knowledge in this field. He teaches in different universities, specializing in digital transformation, change, and is currently the visiting professor in the Master of Cybersecurity for
Recording in progress.
Professor is the Executive Vice President of the Quantum World Association. And for those who love sports, you may find it exciting to note that he's in fact preparing for the marathon in a couple of days' time in London. I believe we are also excited to welcome our energetic speaker to discover together the journey for cybersecurity to cyber residency and how to embrace change so that human and machine work together rather than to compete. So without further ado, let us invite Professor Ramses to power start this session.
Well, thank you very much. It's good afternoon, everyone. It's truly a pleasure, an honor, a blessing to be presenting for you, with you, through you this afternoon. My morning here in Barcelona. I'm sitting in Barcelona, Spain. This is where I was born and raised. And in the next 30 minutes, as I'm representing IE University, and actually I tweeted it a couple of minutes ago, that what we experience out there, the things that I know in my day-to-day job as International Chief Technology Officer for CyberRes, a micro-focus line of business, we teach in class. And I feel so privileged of nurturing and educating and informing and hopefully inspiring our students and hopefully inspiring you all this morning. Again, in the next 29 minutes now, let me share my screen because I'm gonna share how we see the future of now. How we see IoT challenges and the future of now. Again, representing IE University and the business school, because I'm teaching in the master in cybersecurity, in the big data and analytics courses. So it's truly an honor. But let's start. And as the curtains are opening, hopefully also on your screens, I wanted to start with a quote from Gandhi. A very, very simple, not simplistic, very simple quote, yet very powerful. And the quote goes, the future depends on what we do today, period. And I mean it. And I mean it. The hundreds of people that are attending, and thank you for that, this event today, this afternoon, we need to think that the discussion, the conversation, hopefully the questions that I will be receiving in 28 minutes from now, because when I finish, I will go to the Q&A panel on the Zoom platform or maybe the chat, and then I will be honored to answer your question. But the future depends on the decisions that we will take today. By the way, this is a sentence that also is useful for tomorrow, for the day after tomorrow, because the conversation and designing the right architecture when it comes to IoT, that is absolutely critical. And when I was designing this presentation again with my IE colleagues, and we wanted to send the right message, we realized that when you are crafting the right architecture, when you are presenting the right questions to the right people at the right time, when it comes about an epoch, this is not just an epoch of changes, but the change of an epoch where machines and humans, we collaborate, where algorithms tells us something about patterns of behavior. And of course, and hopefully, they prevent us from the next big thing when it comes to cyber attack. Actually, in a couple of minutes, I will invite you into a journey from cybersecurity to cyber resiliency. And the visual that you are hopefully seeing on your screen is about going back to the beginning, going back to the roots. And at the beginning of every society, at the beginning of any instrumental change in human history is about asking the right questions to the right people at the right time. And of course, protecting and defending, protecting and defending, protecting and defending, especially when it comes with IoT infrastructure, critical systems, windmill farms, energy supply system, railway systems, so critical infrastructure for the moment of now. Well, we in class and actually in society, in gatherings like this beautiful one that we are attending today, we talk a lot about digital disruption or digital transformation, right? Okay, I give you that. That's super cool from a marketing perspective. But the name of the game, ladies and gentlemen, the name of the game is radical innovation. Radical innovation, doing different things differently, especially when one is designing the right architecture and the right approach for a factory, for a railway system, for an energy supply or supply chain in the IoT and the convergence of IoT and OT. So IT meaning information technology and OT operational technology. Well, actually gives birth to the idea of IoT, right? Actually, that's what we are here for, and that's part of the title of my session. Well, let me pause here for a second, because when we teach in class, and usually students, make a smile when I'm doing this. Hopefully, you're doing the same on your end. Is that IoT stands for the Internet of Things? Am I correct? But it's not just the Internet of Things, but the Internet of everything, or quite on the contrary, everything on the Internet these days. Well, IoT also stands, if we don't do it rightly, the Internet of Threads, IoT, and also the Internet of Trouble, IoT. So radical innovation is the name of the game. And we need to shine. I'm inviting you and my fellow speaker later after me, representing the IoT there in the region. He knows probably better than I do, but we need to shine at the crossroads. I'm so looking forward to his session after that, but after mine, but we need to shine at the crossroads. And I think that he would agree on a technology world and the art at the crossroads, at the art of protecting people, of servicing customers, of serving citizens and societies at large. We need to shine at the crossroads where technology and the art of shining. Actually, when I was designing this presentation with IE, we talk about, of course, COVID-19 times. And then the idea of the DNA came to the table. And the DNA is the molecule that carries all of the genetic information for anything living, any living organism. And by the way, the question is, if you consider your company, your organization, your city, your community, your region of the world as a living organism. So the DNA carries all of the genetic information for anything live, for birth, growth, development, functioning, and reproduction. Let me repeat. And when we think about Industry 5.0, Industry 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, well, when we design and we craft and we build and imagine those architectures, well, it's an industry that is born, that grows, that develops, that functions. Hopefully it doesn't malfunction. And then it wants to reproduce. And in this very, difficult pandemic, COVID-19 times, we thought that the idea of a living organism, of a DNA, an industry that grows by default. It was Industry 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and now look at us, 5.0, where machines and humans, we get together, right? And actually in the journey that I was inviting you to be on, and I am, is we have security on one side, or cybersecurity. And don't get me wrong, that's fundamental, that's instrumental for success. The idea of identification of threats, protection, detection, defense, that's great. And this is why the image of the suit and protecting, identification of threats, protecting from threats, that's absolutely instrumental. But then, and again, with a very nice visual from these COVID-19 times, on the right-hand side of your slide, on your screen, you have resiliency, the capacity to endure, the capacity to resist, ladies and gentlemen. And the verbs that we use for cyber resiliency or for being resilient is anticipate threats, not just identify threats like insecurity, but anticipate them, withstand whatever happens, resisting and enduring. The third verb that we use is recovering, as this woman is getting out from the hospital by her own. And then last but not least, evolving. Let me repeat. On the resiliency aspect, and I'm inviting you as you design IoT solutions, smart cities, and the rest of, an industry that is born, that grows, that develops, that functions, and it reproduces. I mean, the idea of anticipating threats, withstanding threats, recovering from threats, and then evolving to the next stage, Industry 6.0, 7.0, etc. What you should be seeing now on screen is it's a little chaotic, isn't it? Well, it's a little chaotic, but it's us. It's our reality. Different clouds, different developers, big data, huge data, analytics, social networks, databases, data lakes, different platforms, IoT devices. Wow. Too overwhelming, isn't it? But it's in reality what we are, what we need to do. And we need to do it in a strategic approach. And this is why hopefully in your screen you are seeing a chess game or chess picture. Chess is a fantastic game, sport is considered, and you have a defined territory, a chessboard game, 64 squares, whites against blacks or blacks against whites. You need to find and you need to find the right strategy and play that game. And you win at the game of chess by doing checkmate to the king. Am I right? But there are other instrumental pieces within the sport and the game of chess that are fundamental, critical for winning, like the queen. So in IoT, when you are designing architecture, and we will be talking about architecture in a couple of minutes, while we in marketing, we say that customer is king, or the organization is king, business is king, the citizen is king, we need to protect the king. Yes to that. But what happens to the fundamental aspects of assurance, privacy, compliance, controlling, monitoring, visibility, authentication, authorization, all those things, log management, super correlation? Well, all of them together are the queen. Well, the queen is one of the fundamental pieces of chess because she can do all of the movements, well, except of the horse. The queen cannot jump as the horse does, but all of the other movements she can do in diagonal, one by one, many squares in a one single movement, in diagonal, horizontal movements. The queen is fundamental. And when you are designing IoT solutions and asking the right questions to the right people at the right time, you protect the king, of course. But you cannot win without those fundamental disciplines, all right? And actually, we call it cyber security, we call it cyber resiliency, but we need to think that there are always physical implications, because as my cyber police plaque is showing on your screens, the consequences will never be the same. We call it cyber because it happens through a network, through a Wi-Fi, through a cable, from a keyboard. Yes to that, I give you that. But the consequences, especially in the IoT world, on smart solutions, on smart cities, on energy supply chain, on the aerospace industry, on windmill farms, is usually very physical. Sometimes tragically physical. Like, let me get a little more serious in a minute, but we call it cyberbullying, right? Or cyber gender violence. But the consequences are sometimes tragically physical. And when you try to tamper with an energy supply or a nuclear plant, well, I mean, I've seen, and I swear to God that's true, I have seen nuclear power plants, I'm not going to tell you where in the world, still with Windows XPs. Windows XP has been out of maintenance, out of support, out of everything, I would say. And it's still there because it runs and you cannot touch because, the whole process is designed to work with that, excuse my French, shitty machine. What I mean is that consequences will never be the same, but we need to do the right things rightly. And as my visual now on your screen shows, and I think that's super relevant and super obvious, the next big thing, if we don't ask the right questions to the right people at the right time, will happen through a keyboard, with a keyboard, from a keyboard, especially on my grenade sort of metaphor from a keyboard. So we need to do the right things rightly, especially when we build factories, and we need to think that they have some sort, if not all of them, digital processes. You see a physical, sort of supply chain here in the visual, but you see a layer of digital things on top of it, because there's networks and Wi-Fi's and Ethernet and sensors and metering systems and different devices that actually send zeros and ones, the ones and zeros back and forth in order to do the right processes and procedures. So we shouldn't forget that aspect, which is absolutely relevant. And when it comes to the question, but hey, Prof, hey, Ramses, I mean, do cyber attacks happen on that aspect? Can we really stop a factory? Are there any data breaches from IoT solutions or smart solutions? And the answer is yes. It happened. It has happened. It is happening right now as we speak, and the present continues, and it will happen. The question is how we do risk mitigation strategies and how we close the window of exposure. And before I talk about architecture very rapidly, because I still have like 15 minutes left, let's talk about Sun Tzu's The Art of War. The Art of War is a fantastic book written in the 4th century before Christ. 4th century before Christ. It is not a war book. Actually, it's a business book. And it's so great because it tells you that the good general knows when and how we are going to fight. The good general knows the team that he or she has in order to go to battle. Actually, it tells about the weather. It tells about if you are fighting on a hill or on the beach, because that's a preparation. And I wanted to summarize for you The Art of War, again, Sun Tzu, written in the 4th century before Christ, with 2 sentences. The first one showing now on screen. Every battle is won before it is fought. Let me repeat that, because to my eyes, that shows preparation. That breathes readiness. If you want to help me, the moment to help me is before it happens, not when it has already happened. I appreciate that you help me when it has happened. But if you want to help me, the moment to help is before it happens. Every battle is won before it is fought. Preparation, the right design, the right architecture. I understand that we businesses, we organizations, we are pressed and we have pressure of time to market, time to value. Come on, Ramses, get it out. Tell the team to get out the application, to get out the right design, to get the factory faster than my competitor. I understand all that. But when we forget about asking about how hardened is the environment, how robust and solid are the processes and the procedures and the protocols that send information from A, Alice, to B, Bob, and not the other way around. We need to ensure that the information flows, especially in a factory, especially in an IoT environment, the way we explicitly want the information to flow. And if we don't design that properly, that's, with all due respect, that's a little bit negligent. And I apologize for using a strong word, but that's the name of the game: preparedness and readiness. The second sentence I wanted to share with you this afternoon is a morning here in Barcelona, is know yourself, know your enemy, and you will count 1,000 battles as 1,000 victories. You know who you are and what you can do, and the things that you cannot do and where you need help. You need to understand your environment, the competitive landscape that you are in, the threats that might apply from a specific country. Yes, I'm talking about nations against nations and nations against companies and companies against nations. And then we people, well, the people that are upset with their governments, so people against companies and against nations and against governments, it's a little messy. But unfortunately, it is what it is. And everything today, these days, is at 3 clicks of distance. And that's what I'm teaching on class. And we prove it, that you can get hacked, from afar, from Chile, South Africa, your region of the world. And actually, with all due respect, and I'm looking straight into the camera when I'm saying this, how do you prosecute that? From a law enforcement perspective, I mean, how do you really prosecute, hack to an energy windmill farm if it happens from, from Spain, from Belgium, from Argentina, from Chicago, Illinois? How do you do that? So that's super important. And of course, innovation is the name of the game. Innovation is doing that. And I wanted to mention two very important things as I'm building, not my ending, because I still have 12 minutes left. But ladies and gentlemen, this session is titled IoT Challenges, right? We always have challenges when we design, and we need to understand and open our mind and have a wider perspective on, threats and challenges and threat actors and the different in and out vectors of a company, of a factory, wow. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it is. Is it impossible? No, it's not. Because the book has been written. The book of attacks has mostly been written. What you are seeing on screen is the MITRE, or the name of the MITRE attack framework. Attack is an acronym. And please pay attention. If you are not taking notes, I guess that would be a nice moment to take notes, because I think that's super cool. It's free. It's an open source sort of framework. And some companies like ours, but some companies are already putting the framework on top of their threat hunting, threat detection, threat intelligence technologies. Well, the MITRE attack framework, the acronym is the following. Listen: adversarial, tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. Let me repeat. Adversarial, the enemy, tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. What that means, and now showing on your screen, from your left to your right, what that means is that the book has been written. The way cyber criminals and attackers and offenders, they try to gain initial access, the way they try to get execution of an attack, the way they try to persist within a network, within an environment, the way they try to do escalation of privileges, gain credential access, do a discovery and a reconnaissance of the network, of the environment, the way they try to exfiltrate data. Well, the book has been written. So you have no excuse to, I didn't know that, I was not ready for that. With all due respect, again, that would be negligent. So the MITRE attack framework in a way of innovating and understanding what's next is super important. But the second thing I wanted to let you know about innovation and solving the IoT challenges, before I do that, let me tell you about the reference architecture. What you are seeing here, and probably there's a little too much coming from only visuals and only pictures. That's probably a little too much information in this slide, but that's a typical reference architecture for an IoT and OT environment. I want to point your attention at the heart of the slide, because there are users with PCs, with terminals, that at the end of the day, at the bottom of the slide, I mean, we're talking about oil pipes, oil rigs, a windmill, different sensors. I mean, it's a complex super engineered environment. And there's a convergence of IoT and IT, information technology, and OT. So what to do in order to tackle the industry 5.0? At the bottom, some of my advices that we teach in class, and of course I can talk for days. Actually, I do that. We can talk for days on that. But focus on business risk, not just IT, OT risk, but business risk. Business first, business first, business first. Build efficient and effective security and the right program. Develop transparency protocols and communication. How many of you here had a crisis management protocol? I mean, crisis management also involves people going out on public record saying that happened and that was the impact. I mean, that's not just PR. That's crisis management, because we're talking about, hopefully not, but we're talking about people's lives here. We're talking about nuclear power plants, oil supply, railway systems, critical systems for the society we live in. But let me move very rapidly because I only have, 7 minutes left. There's a cyber kill chain from IT and OT. While we all understand, an IT system that we can get, a ransomware attack with an email, with a credential, losing or stealing credentials, etc. On the right-hand side for the OT system, I mean, they can create, and the bad guys create a reconnaissance of the network. They try to do lateral movements or privilege escalation. I want your attention to be pointed to that acronym on the top end of the slide. We in the industry called about APTs, Advanced Persistent Threats. Advanced persistent threats, to my eyes, it's that the threats, the bad guys, are advanced. Okay. Not always, but okay, let's leave that aside for a moment. They're super modern and advanced and very powerful, that they are persistent and they are threats. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the question is not how persistent they are. The question is how persistent you are. The question is how obsessed we are on protecting and defending that convergence of IT, information technology, and OT, operational technology. Because at the end of the day, users right in the middle, threat actors, that was on my previous slide, threat actors on top, and infrastructure that we not always understand well at the bottom, right? On top of that, we have data lakes. We not only have, databases and information, we have oceans of information, seas of information. And that's the second thing I wanted to let you know about innovation, is using machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. I want you to know that. So some people call it AI because it's super cool to say that. But artificial intelligence has 5 subdisciplines, one being machine learning. Well, the way one can use one of the 4 types of machine learning, you have supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, reinforcement learning, and deep learning. I'm going to focus on the second one, unsupervised machine learning. Unsupervised machine learning learns by observation, checking the environment and checking what's happening. Supervised machine learning learns by example. You need to train the algorithm. But unsupervised machine learning actually tells you, that's strange. Actually can tell you that's an anomaly. And this is why when I was preparing this presentation with my colleagues, we talked about fighting, some people fear of, AI and algorithms and sort of the Terminator sort of thing. Well, quite on the contrary. We moved it to this beautiful slide. You collaborate with algorithms, you collaborate with machine learning, especially with unsupervised machine learning, because it can tell you, it can detect patterns of behavior. Again, it learns by observing the environment. And it can tell you beautiful things like the things that, I know this is one of the consoles, but, anomaly detection, which are the most accessed machines, how information is flowing from one way to the other. And actually, engineers missed the point, as an example, of ensuring that only the information flows from, again, Alice to Bob, from machine A to machine B, Alice and Bob. So anomaly detection, patterns of behavior, that's super important in IT. So in information technology is absolutely relevant and instrumental for operational technology. Last but not least, in the 4 minutes that I have left, and let me be very rapidly, we shouldn't be forgetting that it's about us, we people, we humans. Here in Latin, homo homini lupus est, meaning man is a wolf to man, or woman is a wolf to woman. Humans, it's us. It's how we design, how we protect and defend, how we build resiliency at the end of the day. Actually, this whole session was about connecting the dots. I did it very rapidly, but because I'm receiving some questions through the chat or through the Q&A. I will go there in 3 minutes from now. But connecting the dots, that's what I wanted you to know, that it's absolutely possible in a holistic fashion. That's what I teach with IE. That's what I do as International Chief Technology Officer for CyberRes, a micro-focus line of business. But that's my metro map. That's my metaphor of a journey. If you want to be resilient, if you want to tackle Industry 5.0 or 4.0, if you want to talk about smart solutions, IoT, and embrace change, you cannot do it without hardening application security on the S line, for instance, without understanding identity management and access governance, because now machines declare an identity and they want to be someone within the infrastructure, a process and a procedure. And now the way you do application retirement, or infrastructure retirement, like the Windows SP, how you do access governance, how you do credential management, authentication, authorization, administration, assurance, actually the world of the 6 A's, 6, authentication, authorization, administration, assurance, auditing, and authenticity. You know, the world of the 6 A's are fundamental for that. Let me finish with the following. And as a professor of IE, I think that we have found the gene for the next generation cyber executives. The gene, talking about the DNA, remember at the beginning of my session? The gene of the next generation cyber executive. And I think that with gatherings like this one, not just with my session, but with the one coming now, and it has been an honor to present for you today, but the gene of the next gen is about understanding and the capability with this session and with this gathering, being even more intelligent, even becoming more of a genius, being generous, sharing the right information to the right people at the right time, being genuine, being authentic, designing with the right mindset from an engineering perspective and from a cybersecurity, cyber resiliency perspective, being an agent of change. An agent of change. That's the gene of the next generation. But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, as I am finishing, the opportunity of becoming a legend. A legend. Who doesn't want to become a legend? Because legends are remembered. Legends leave a legacy. And when it comes to design nuclear power plants, that probably the infrastructure will be there for the next 30, 50, 60 years. When it comes to design the right protocols, using the MITRE attack framework, because the book has been written and you know, with a great detail, how cyber criminals will try to tamper with your intellectual property, your design, your next product or service that you are designing that is hosted in one of those machines, physical machines that have a layer of technology on top of that, as my previous, the slide before. Becoming a legend is super important because I'm sitting here in Barcelona, and in the minute I have left, you know, I wanted to mention one of the architects of the city. If you have ever been in my city, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, when the skies are open, you're more than welcome to visit Barcelona, beautiful, sunny Barcelona again, but when the skies are open. But Antoni Gaudí, you know, he built a cathedral. He built different landmarks in the city. He was a very super religious man. But instead of seeing regular columns, as you can see at the forefront of my visual, he saw the tendons of the muscles that support the right architecture. Actually, instead of regular columns, he saw bones. Instead of doing rounded or squared columns, he mimicked bones of a body, of a human body that support the right architecture. In his case, he was very religious. The temple of knowledge, the temple of, in our case for this session, the temple of IoT solutions, the temple of the right architecture, the right design, the right flexible, integrated, modern, liquid, I would say, with this time's architecture. Actually, I'm going to leave you with this very interesting quote. I started with a Gandhi quote. I'm going to finish with Antoni Gaudí's quote about, remember that I said 28 minutes ago, going back to the origin, going back to the beginning? Well, he left us with this very interesting quote. Originality consists on returning to the origin. If you want to be cool, if you want to sound modern and fresh, if you want to be original, well, originality consists in going back to the roots, going back to the origin. And remember, like with the DNA, anything, any society that wants to grow, any business that wants to expand, You should do it with the right questions at the right people at the right time. Who has access to what? How the information flows back and forth, how I'm going to encrypt, to create secrets and keep secrets, you know? So originality consists on returning to the origin. And in my case, like I started 31 minutes ago, I started with a thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. My name is Ramses Gallego, International Chief Technology Officer for CyberRes, a micro-focused line of business. I'm representing, and it's a blessing, IE University today, the way we teach in class, the energy, the passion. Again, from beautiful Barcelona, it's 9:42 a.m. So it's my morning here. Thank you for having me on your afternoon. Back to you. I'm going to stop sharing and probably I will go and check the chat. So thanks for having me. Let me stop sharing. Yes, I'm doing that. And I don't know, Wingy, if you want me to go to the chat or the Q&A, how do you want me to do that?
Yes. Hi, Professor Ramsey. So thank you very much for your very interesting presentation. I believe so many of our attendees has been leaving their contact to asking for to refresh your presentation. I mean, together with your very interesting elaboration on how it goes. And so right now we are in fact in our Q&A session, and so far we have a very interesting question from attendee called Miss, I'm not sure Mr. or Miss Peace Chukhisi.
I am reading it. I can take it. I have read it.
Station will be installed in large number in every country, and that goes to Thailand as well. Could you please share your proactive idea for cybersecurity for EV charging station? And the second part is, what is the impact for consumer and charger provider on this topic?
Absolutely. And thanks for the question. And
Mr. Ramsey,
very interested on that.
Would you like to address to this question?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm doing it. Actually, thanks, Mr. or Mrs. Peace Chung Sia for the question. I'm very interested on the question. Actually, I feel very lucky because I drive a Tesla, you know, so I have a 100% electric vehicle. You know, it's fantastic, one of my toys. But actually, there's nothing different from the things that we need to ensure that we authenticate people the right way, that we authorize people the right way. I mean, with electric vehicle charging stations, and again, not because I'm using a Tesla, but the way you identify yourself, the way you recognize that you are who you say you are, the way you should harden the charging station, in this case Tesla, but others, you know, Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes, Porsche. I mean, at the end of the day, the fundamentals, Mr. or Mrs. Peace Chunsia, thank you for the question, are the basics of cybersecurity. Authentication, authorization, making sure that you cannot alter, you know, the machine, that there's integrity in place, that there is non-repudiation. So the fundamentals of cybersecurity, confidentiality, integrity, availability, that it's available 99.99999% of the time. Actually, 1 minute of downtime per year, that's acceptable. 1 minute of, you know, the 360 days, 365 days per year. So that you need to be properly authenticated. That if you're going to be charged, you know, I mean, when you charge with a supercharging in Tesla, you get invoice, you get the bill, because it knows that it's my car with my, you know, there's an app, of course, for that. I have an app. So Mr. or Miss Peace, nothing different from the fundamentals, instrumental things that we have been doing for decades with other machines, in the way we embrace change and we adapt and adopt also electric vehicle charging stations. The impact for consumers and changer providers, especially now that is being said that the way you can change, even if you don't have a Tesla or other machine, that you can charge and you can use that network of superchargers. Well, that's great, but then you need to be, again, properly authenticated. They need to ensure and provide assurance that you are who you say you are, that you're going to be invoiced. Again, nothing different from the things that we have been doing, but we need to enforce it. And we need engineers, those magicians that are designing these beautiful machines, they need to be trained, and we need to ensure that they are following a white book or a blue book of application security, that they are hardening and they are fortifying the environment. That would be my answer. Back to you, Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you very much, Professor. And we have a question, since this topic about cybersecurity is very interesting, and we know that you come from the IE University. So the question is, what are some of the program and electives that I can take to deepen my knowledge in cybersecurity and technology? I'm not sure like whether professor or your colleague would like to address to that.
Yeah, maybe Ashika, if you want to unmute yourself, or I can take it as you prefer, my friend.
Yep, so I'll just start off and then maybe Prof, as an expert, if you want to jump in, please continue. So at IE, we have a range of tech as well as business programs as well. So specifically, if you're looking at cybersecurity, we had a program in cybersecurity. In addition to that, in terms of tech, we do have a master's program in business innovation, business analytics, and even in our MBA program itself, there are electives, there are lab periods that you can take to basically augment your skill sets in the tech field. So Prof, if you want to share a little bit about the modules that you teach at IE, please carry on.
Yeah, absolutely, Ashika, and thank you for that. Absolutely. I mean, things like what we call emerging technologies, which are not emerging anymore, but things like cloud, blockchain, machine learning, as I was saying during my session, big data and analytics, fundamental. Actually, and let me say it with a smile on my face because I'm super proud of what I'm going to say. At IE, the Master in Cybersecurity is one of the few masters on the planet, if any, on cybersecurity, that we teach quantum computing. I am the professor teaching quantum computing, meaning, of course, if you go to the University of Physics or astronomy, they'll tell you about atoms and light and etc., right? Because it's physics. But in Master in Cybersecurity, the application of quantum technologies into encryption, into keeping secret, maintaining secret. I do teach like 1 week on quantum computing, which again I'm so honored because it's kind of rare to do that. So a part of the regular modules on network, clouds, systems, identity management, access governance, supercorrelation, threat hunting, threat detection, developing application security. On top of that, those super cool, fresh, unique, I would say, for a Master in Cybersecurity module. That's what we do, and I'm so honored of doing that. Back to you, Master of Ceremonies.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ramsey. I think due to the limited of time, in fact, we have another round of the Q&A, so we're going to stop right now. We can see that there are, in fact, 2 more questions. We will collect it, and then later we have time, we will continue with the Q&A.
Yeah,
so
actually,
I think, in fact, it's very informative for your presentation, Professor Ramsey. So next, we would like to our next speaker.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me say something. Let me say something to everyone.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna be answering some of the questions, not live, but I'm actually answering some of them, typing the question because I want to attend Mr. Niti's presentation. I want to be paying attention because it's gonna be, mind blowing. But rest assured that the people that put their questions on the Q&A panel. Actually, I will be off camera because I wanna see Mr. Nitis, but I'm going to be answering some of the questions that have been presenting. Thank you very much for having me. I'm still here. I'm with you. Thank you very much. Back to you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Professor, for your insightful sharing. And next, we would like to welcome Mr. Niti Mitmo. He's the president of the Thai IoT Association. Mr. Niti is a businessman and the industrialist with more than 28 years of experience in the smart electronic industry and the IoT solution. He in fact holds various key positions, including being the managing director of Synergy Technology, Synergy Innovation, and Synergy Group, president of the Thai IoT Association, secretary assistant of the KU Engineering Alumni Association, and he's also the subcommittee of the Thai Engineering Institute of Thailand under the HM King patronage, and as an advisor of the Thailand Business Angel Network Association, and is also the subcommittee of DEPA on Strategy and Digital Economic Promotion Plan. Today, he will share his experience on present about the future technology trends for all business and industry, so we can understand how to run business with IoT in the most productive way. Now, please allow me to hand over the floor to Kun Niti to begin his presentation.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead. Yes. Yes, we
Okay,
can.
let me share my screen. Okay, thank you, Professor Lamsey. It's very interesting, your presentation. I love it. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Niti Megmok. I am president of Thai IoT Association. I am very honored to be speaker for today's webinar. I am founder and managing director of Synergy Technology and SynHub Digital Community. First of all, let me introduce Thai IoT Association. Thai IoT Association established for 3 years with the four objectives. The first one, we would like to make the awareness to the Thai people to understand IoT technology. The second one, we would like to make the expertise for IoT technology for developing our countries. And the third one, we would like to make alliance for local and overseas partners. And the fourth one, we would like to make the usability. If we're talking about IoT value chain, you can see it's really, really long chain. So it's related to many jobs, many occupations. So this creates many jobs in our country. So from the left-hand side, you can see we have to start from the chip design, and then we make the object, and then we have to send the data to the connectivity, and we correct the data under the right platform, and then we make the software customization and application to the customer. Our association roadmap for this 2 years, we would like to cooperate with the domestic and international vendors and specialists of IoT. And we would like to establish the guideline of standardization of IoT product and service. And we would like to contribute, implement, and deploy mega project. This is our committees. This is part of our member. So far, we have 60 plus members. And in the past 3 years, we have participated in many events. From the we participate under organization by National Broadcasting and Telecommunication Commission that we presenting about 5G technology. It's another event that we support to Ministry of Commerce to provide the technology to the SME. SME mean small and medium business enterprise, to let them understand how technology can help them to transform their business. And we are also working with the Sri Patum University to come out with the IoT technology course to upskill and reskill and provide new skill to the workforce. And we also participate with the event that related to the Industrial Revolution 4.0, organized by Digital Economy Promotion Agencies and UN Industrial Development Organization. We are also working with the Burapha University to come out with the application during the COVID-19 pandemic. It's called Be Safe at Home. It's virtual clinic for home isolation. So we can monitor the infected person's illness through the dashboard, and they can understand what we need to do next for the infected persons. It's already finished for the first part. I have 5 parts. So I may go quickly because I have 50 slides. So it's quite a lot. So let's continue. The second part, I would like to ask our participant, do you really know your business or not? If you say yes, I will be asking you, are you sure? What is your product and service cost last month? I think you can understand, you can know that. What is your product and service cost last week? I think you can answer this. But what is your product and service cost yesterday? I think some of you may not answer this kind of question. So we may need some tool to help you to understand what happened in your business. We may not ask for the cost only. We may ask for the quality and delivery and customer satisfaction. This can help to your business growth. Mr. Jeff Bezos ever said that if you don't understand the detail of your business, you are going to fail. So from this slide, from this picture, what can you see? From my opinion, I can see the teamwork. So how can 21 people work together to complete the job within few seconds? So behind of this picture, they have to practice more and more. They have to understand what their role, what their responsibility, and doing with the same target to minimize the time spending in the cockpit. They need some tools to help, and IoT will be technology for helping them to improve. And in the future, you may not see the human doing this kind of thing. It may change to the robot. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we have new very famous jobs. It's a food delivery. It's very famous job in Thailand, and I think in other countries as well. So you can see the driver try to drive very fast for deliver the food to the customer. So their target to bring it fast as they can. That's their target. But at the end, when they goes to the customer, the food is not in the good quality, so it fails. It's not only the delivery that we need, we also need the quality as well. It's already finished the part 2, so we go to part 3. The purpose of the business transformation. This is one example of the week in Thailand. Actually, in Thailand, it's called 2 แถว 2 แถว is mean 2 row. So they will separate the passenger to the two sides, and they will have the cut to prevent each other. So this is like transformation, the business transformation. And during COVID-19, we ourselves have to adopt ourselves. You can see from the pictures, we change a lot. We change our lifestyle, we change our working style during the COVID-19, because of the COVID-19. The purpose of the business transformation, from my opinion, I think for survival. For example, Thai Airways Airlines pilot, he needs to change his job from the pilot to the Grab driver during the COVID-19 pandemic. So he changed, he transformed for survival. What is your business sector or business type? Trading, services, industry, agriculture? Our business sector or business types need to do the business transformation either today or tomorrow. for survival. What are the things that we need for the business transformation? Is digital technologies. There are many digital technologies that can support your business to change your product, to change your service, to improve your process, or to release the business unit. And for the result, you will get for the best quality and the cheapest cost and the fastest delivery and the highest customer satisfaction. So all digital technology can support, can contribute to achieve that results. Sometimes we cannot work by ourselves. We cannot work alone. So we need collaboration. So we need partner.
The weather downtown is currently at 65 degrees. Today at 10 a.m. you have a dance audition. Traffic is heavier than usual.
I'm about to jump in the elevator.
So you cannot work alone. So you need the right partner. So this example for the big brand, two big brands, Google and Levi's, they work together to come out with the new products. So they integrate the sensors to detect the process or the movement and controlling to the electric device. And this is another sample that I think is the good example for collaboration. Two different products, I mean, Boost and Adidas and Lego, and they can collaboration to come out with the new products. But before they release this kind of products, I think they have to have more data. So how can they get the data? They need some tool. They need IoT. The most powerful IoT device in the world is mobile. So they may collect the data from the user, from the customer, through the mobile application or through the social media for their customer. And when they have enough data, they will design and making prototype and do market verification and come out with the new products as this. Another example I try to present here is how can they know the behavior, consumer behavior and consumer characteristics for each brand, for Nike, for Adidas, for ASICS. How can they know that? They have to get data, and how can they get the data? So many ways they can apply many devices to correct the consumer data. Data AI are the answer for my point of view. So we can have data, we can have more data, more and more data, become big data, and we have the right algorithm to come out with the new solution. Next, I would like to present you the case study for IoT and AI solution. The basic of IoT, the IoT has three main parts. The first one is the things which are embedded with the sensors. The second, the networks that connect them. The third one, the system that process data to and from the things. I have more use case related to the smart city. Thai government really support the smart city concept for the last 4 years. They separate smart city into 7 categories: smart living, smart mobility, smart people, smart economy, smart energy, smart governance, and smart environment. This is the sample that we're doing the project for Royal Irrigation Department. They're facing the problem that they cannot manage the water for the farmers because in this area there are many kinds of farmers. So some farmers need water, some farmers don't need water. So they have difficulty to manage the floodgate. So what we provide, we install the sensors to understand how the volume for the irrigation canals. There are many irrigation canals. And then we can understand, we send the data to the cloud. In the cloud, we have algorithm to come out with a solution for the officer to manage the floodgate. So in the past, the officer have to ride motorcycle to the floodgate and they have to manually control the floodgate. But now they can control the floodgate by application. This is an application that the officer can control. Okay, the next one. This is the park belong to Chulalongkorn University. They're facing the problem that they consume the water for planting too much, so they don't have any data for analysis. So we install the wet and we install the necessary sensors to measure the soil moisture with different depth, and then we have the data and we can make the automatically controlling system feeding, and at the end we can save more than 30% water consumption. And this is the mobile application. Next project will be the smart energy and smart governance for Dida University. They need to change their building to smart building. So we have installed many sensors, measure the air quality, indoor and outdoor, and also the water quality. And we also installed the power meters. And at the end, we come out with a dashboard. Now we can understand which building consume, how they consume the energy, which building have high consumption, so we can attack the problem to the problem buildings. This will be easier for the officers to reduce the energy. This is another example from my partners. They are startup. They call Poseidon. It's for aquaculture intelligence. So the device will float on the waters with the 6 sensors for measuring the water pH and water temperatures, ORP, conductivity, and DO. And then they will come out with a solution optimizing feeding amount. And then they can advise to the fish farmer when you should feed to the pond, and when you take the fish from the pond. Because we have the camera on top, can see how maturity of the fish. So for this system, this device They claim that they can saving for the food for feeding more than 20%. And for the next example, will be startup from USA.
Tooth decay is caused by imbalanced levels of acid in the mouth. When saliva and plaque are overly acidic for extended periods, enamel dissolves and teeth begin to decay. U2 is developing a biosensor that fits comfortably around one tooth and monitors acid levels to prevent tooth decay. When acid begins to cause damage, the sensor transmits a signal to the U2 app. The user receives a notification with product recommendations to neutralize acid before tooth decay occurs. Users can prevent decay at the earliest moments with products tailored to their needs. With U2, dentists can offer prevention plans based on individual needs of their patients by analyzing their oral health data. U2's acid monitor is the first product in their platform. Saliva is a powerful diagnostic fluid with future sensors used for dental, fitness, hormones, allergens, oncology, and toxins.
So I know this startup because they came to Thailand during the COVID-19, and we brought them to doing business with Thai Microelectronics Center, because you should use the chip sensor from Thai Microelectronics Center. This organization is under Science and Technology Development Ministries. And another example, our association working with Burapha University, and we got the funding from Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation for making the IoT device and AI platform for improve our Thai people health. So these are the device that is going to launch in next quarter. The last part, trend and opportunities and list. For Thailand countries, now we become aging society country already. So my point is we have to, entrepreneur have to realize and think about your product service, how you can adopt your product and service to serve this group, or if your current product and service cannot support this group, how to make it support, or how you change by integrating with the technologies. And another trend and opportunities, electric vehicles. In the last 3 decades, I think Thailand is the manufacturing base for automotive. So now it's a big trend that we have to change. We have to transform our SME, our automotive cluster, to be ready for electric vehicle cluster. And another trend is BCG. Our government really support this bioeconomy, circular economy, and green economy. So we think this will be the future industry that can improve our country. And another opportunity, so this will be like 3 parties work together. It's like PPP projects for private sector and government and university to work together. We have so many research in the university, so the private sector have to consider which one can be adopted and can be make it commercialized. So we we will work together and come out with a new product or new service. This will be another opportunity. And the last one, I think we cannot consider only for our local trend. So we have to understand what the sustainable development goals. There are 17 goals. So entrepreneurs need to consider your product and service can contribute to this goal or not. If you cannot, what's the technology that you need to integrate to your product and service? And then you can have the success in the future. That's all for my presentation. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, Mr. Nitti, for your enlightening presentation. And now is the Q&A time. So if any of our attendees have questions, please feel free to type your question under the Q&A box at the bottom of the panel. In fact, we have collected some questions from the floor. And the first question, as Mr. Nitti has shared some information regarding the Smart City Plan Thailand. So this question goes to Mr. Nitti. How much progress do you see has been made in terms of the smart city development in Thailand?
Yeah, I can see big improvement for the last 2 years. So the local governors or mayors, they understand the mechanism how to improve for their own areas. So they correct the data and they consult to DEPA, Digital Economy Promotion Agency, can be consult, make them can write the proposal, what the solution they need for improving the area, and DEPA also set the target to have the more and more smart city in Thailand. So now I think we have the target for the 30 city to be smart city in Thailand.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kun Nitti. And in your presentation, you have shared a lot of example of the industry that has already adopted IoT. And maybe you can explain is there any challenges that has been faced in terms of the adoption and how to overcome it?
Can you repeat again? Sorry.
I mean, just now in your presentation, you have shared several industries from healthcare to agriculture that in Thailand has adopted IoT in the problem solving. Yeah. So can you also share with us what are some of the challenges that have been faced and maybe how to learn from any of these mistake or problems so our audience can also learn from some of these examples?
So actually IoT technology can be adopted to any kind of industry. It depends on the owners or the business owner. How do you know your business? What the things that you need to attack? Like you need to improve the quality, you need to improve the productivity. I think IoT can help. The first thing, you need to have the data. You ask yourself first, do you have the data enough or not? If you don't have data enough, you should get data first. And when you have the data, you can see how can you improve those kind of data. For some example, our SME, like manufacturing, when you finish the production every day, you may not know your output exactly on that day. You may know in the day after. But when you know the result, the output, that may not be the finished good. That may be the defects. But you know it's too late already. cannot prevent the problem. So you need to have the data real time. You need to have the data exactly. And then you can improve the productivity. For manufacturing, we can improve like the OEE. We can improve quality defect rate. We can improve many things, not only for the manufacturing. For commercial side, we also can improve. We can use the smart CCTV to correct the data, to correct your consumer behavior, how long they spend time with this kind of products, why they have to watch this product for a long time. They have some reason. When you have data, you can analyze and you can do something to improve your business. I think the IoT can help in any kind of business, any kind of industry.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Niti. About we need to have a sizable sample of the data in order to analyze and also even like preempt what is going to happen so we can design the workflow in the right way. And on the floor, there's a question about what should Thailand do to grow the adoption of IoT?
For my point, I think we need to separate for three parts. The first part is our people. We need to educate to people to understand what this technology can help you, like IoT, like AI, like big data. They may not understand clearly what the benefit to implement this technology to your business. And we also lack of the skilled workforce. So we need to have more people for in this kind of business. I mean IoT business, IoT technology. That's the first part. The second part, we need to support from the government. I can see many ministries doing the same thing, but in different way. So I think we wait for the budget. So we may let them to do the same thing. Have only one owner, not all ministry, all department doing the same thing. It wastes the money. That's another portion. And the last portion, we need a collaboration between government, academic institution, and private sector. We need to collaborate and work together as our association doing currently.
Thank you, Mr. Niti. I believe that we need to have the training and also a better collaboration with the government so that citizen or even like from the professor level, Professor Ramsey, and even from our next generation, they all can benefit from it. And we have one question from somebody who are from, I believe he's more on the agriculture background. So his question is, do you have any IoT solution for precision agriculture? If you have, please share some example. Precision agriculture.
So it's quite difficult to explain for the precision because we can explain in any meanings, but I can see some project in the university. So they have like the drone for taking the image, and they have the image processing to understand what's going on with their field. Do they grow well or not grow well, or they have some disease? This kind of technology, this kind of research will be commercialized in the future, sure. But so far, we have not implemented the precision agriculture yet in in the current. If you're talking the precision agriculture, we may see from the big player like Japanese agriculture companies, like the big brand. They have the full system.
Thank you, Mr. Niti. I believe that Thailand is doing a lot of the exchanges and collaboration with more advanced country technology player. And that is why through our event called Digitech ASEAN Thailand, we are also trying to bring in the different technology expert or even like provider to come to facilitate business exchange or knowledge exchange with our market in Southeast Asia and Thailand. And in fact, we see more questions, but due to the time limitation, we will have to end our Q&A session here. And we will continue to collect more questions for our speaker and keep you posted after the webinar as well for our attendee. So once again, we would like to thank you to Professor Ramses and Mr. Niti for your great advice and so many interesting example and application that has been given throughout the previous two sessions. And I believe that everyone, including myself, have benefited today learning, and we can start to help strategize and collect the data and also talk to each other to consider how to best adopt IoT in our business, even if we are students as well. So once again, we hope that you have enjoyed today's session, and we would like to express our great appreciation to our sponsor, IE University, as our supporter, Thai IoT Association, for both your valuable insight and contribution. And next, I would like to share with you our upcoming webinar. This is going to be a cited one as well. It's on the topic Next Generation Cloud and Cybersecurity, happening on the 16th of December 2021. And you can simply follow our webinar and activity on our social media pages that is shown on the screen. Besides this webinar, our main event called Digitech ASEAN Thailand will be happening on 24th to 26th of November in a form of online exhibition, conference, and designated business matching as well, which you can access from both either your home or workplace. And we welcome you to join us. So if you'll be keen to know more, you can simply contact our team as indicated on this slide. And last but not least, we would like to know how to improve ourselves so we can continue to bring you the most relevant knowledge and business opportunity. So we're going to conduct a survey. Simply scan this QR code to complete this survey, which is going to just take up 2 to 3 minutes of your time. Or we will also be sending out an email with this as well for those who might be scanning the QR code. So last but not least, we would like to thank you for all our attendees for joining us today. Please do stay safe and keep well. So see you soon. Goodbye. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
Bye, thank you.